Historical facts that are so dumb, they're genius. History is full of empires, battles, and people doing really smart things. But it's also full of people doing the dumbest, weirdest, most hilarious stuff ever. And somehow, it made it into the history books. So here are some funny historical facts that'll make you say, wait, what? Napoleon was attacked by hundreds of rabbits during a hunting event. They weren't wild bunnies, they were tame and thought he brought snacks. He had to run, literally defeated by fluff balls. King Charles VI of France thought he was made of glass. He refused to let people touch him and wore reinforced clothing. He was basically walking around like a fragile IKEA lamp. President Taft got stuck in a White House bathtub. 6 dudes had to help him out. After that, they just built him a custom mega tub like a presidential hot tub. The Eiffel Tower grows in the summer. It can stretch up to 6 inches because of heat expansion. So yes, technically, France's most famous structure has a seasonal glow-up. A town in Norway banned dying. Their cemetery was full, and the permafrost made it impossible to bury people. So, if you feel sick there, you better hold it in. Thomas Edison once electrocuted an elephant to prove a point. He was in a petty feud with Tesla over which electric current was better. Poor elephant. Science and drama. A pig once started a war between the US and Britain. A farmer shot the pig and tensions escalated. They called it the Pig War. No humans died, just bacon. Vikings used fermented shark meat as a delicacy. It smells like death, socks, and regret. Iceland still eats it today, on purpose. In ancient Rome, urine was used for laundry. People actually collected pee to clean their togas. When life gives you lemons or pee, make detergent? Napoleon wasn't actually short. He was around 5'6", which was average at the time. But British propaganda painted him as tiny, probably just to make their enemy look fun-sized and furious. In ancient Rome, people used pee to whiten their teeth. That's right, urine was basically the first mouthwash. Minty fresh, more like pungent prestige. President Lyndon B. Johnson used to hold meetings while sitting on the toilet. He'd even leave the door open and keep talking politics like it was totally normal. Power moves only. In medieval times, people thought bathing could make you sick, so they mostly didn't. Perfume? That was just medieval Febreze for your unwashed armor. Winston Churchill once said he couldn't live without 3 things: cigars, brandy, and naps. Honestly, same. In the 1800s, ketchup was sold as medicine. People thought it could cure indigestion. So basically, Heinz was the original pharmacy. The shortest war in history was between Britain and Zanzibar. It lasted 38 minutes. Someone overslept and missed an entire war. Vikings used to give their babies ugly names so evil spirits wouldn't want to steal them. Nothing says protection like naming your kid Stinky Trollface. In ancient Egypt, servants were sometimes lathered in honey to attract flies away from the pharaoh. Imagine getting hired just to be a human fly trap. President Andrew Jackson had a parrot that cursed like a sailor. It swore so much it had to be removed from his funeral. George Washington didn't have wooden teeth. They were made of hippopotamus ivory, gold, and lead. So technically, the first president had a blinged-out grill. In the 17th century, tulips were so expensive in the Netherlands, they were worth more than houses. Yes, people literally went broke. Over flowers. Roman Emperor Caligula made his horse a senator. And to be honest, some modern politicians have less horsepower. In the 1930s, Australia lost a war to emus. The birds were too fast and too organized for the army. No notes. In the 18th century, powdered wigs became fashionable because people were trying to hide baldness from syphilis. So basically, high society was just one big wig party of denial. Abraham Lincoln was an accomplished wrestler. He only lost once in over 300 matches. Honest Abe didn't just split rails, he split skulls. In medieval courts, animals could be put on trial. Pigs, goats, and even insects were charged with crimes. One pig was sentenced to death for murder. Justice served. Before alarm clocks, people were woken by knocker-uppers who'd tap on your window with a stick. Imagine paying someone to harass you out of bed with a broomstick. Queen Elizabeth I wore so much lead-based makeup, her skin literally started to rot. But hey, beauty is pain, and also toxic. The Eiffel Tower can grow over 6 inches taller in summer. Steel expands in heat. just like your uncle at a BBQ. In the 1920s, gangster Al Capone ran a soup kitchen. While dodging the law, he was also handing out hot meals. The ultimate villain PR move. Pope Gregory XIX once declared war on cats, claiming they were associated with the devil. This caused a boom in rats, and possibly helped spread the Black Plague. Oops. In ancient Greece, athletes competed in the Olympics completely naked. Talk about high-stakes dodgeball. Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be the national bird, instead of the bald eagle. Can you imagine eating the symbol of America every Thanksgiving? Tsar Peter the Great imposed a beard tax in Russia. If you wanted to keep your beard, you had to pay up, shave, or be taxed. In the Victorian era, people took photos with their dead relatives, propped up, dressed nicely, the ultimate awkward family portrait. In the Middle Ages, people believed basilisks, mythical death chickens, could kill you just by looking at you. Medieval life, 10% farming, 90% monster paranoia. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the pyramids. Ancient Egypt really outlasted its own reputation. In 1518, a dancing plague broke out in Strasbourg. Dozens of people danced uncontrollably for days, and some even died. It was history's weirdest rave. Julius Caesar was once kidnapped by pirates. He told them to raise his ransom because he was worth more. Then, after he was freed, he came back and crucified them all. Classic Caesar. During WWI, British soldiers were issued tins of chocolate as morale boosters, because if you're going to fight in trenches, you at least deserve a snack. Marie Antoinette didn't actually say, "Let them eat cake," but she did live so lavishly it might as well have been scripted. The ancient Romans used crushed mouse brains as toothpaste. Minty fresh was not the goal. President Taft got stuck in the White House bathtub and had to be rescued by multiple men. He later had a new one installed, built for 7. The ancient Chinese invented toilet paper around the 6th century. It was reserved for emperors. Everyone else had to improvise. Ouch. In 18th century England, pineapples were so rare, people rented them to show off at parties. Imagine flexing with a fruit. In ancient Sparta, boys were trained to be warriors from age 7, if they survived. They graduated by stealing cheese while being whipped. Peak masculinity. Pirates wore eye patches not because they lost eyes, but to keep one eye adjusted to darkness so they could fight below deck. Tactical fashion. In 1835, the New York Sun published a fake story claiming there were bat people on the moon. People believed it. Journalism was wild. The first vending machine was invented in ancient Greece. It dispensed holy water when you dropped a coin in. The OG sacred snack machine. President Calvin Coolidge liked having Vaseline rubbed on his head while eating breakfast. No explanation, just vibes. In the 19th century, dentures were sometimes made from the teeth of dead soldiers. Now that's what you call battlefield leftovers. People in the Middle Ages thought kissing a donkey could cure a toothache. They were wrong. But imagine trying to explain that at the dentist. The first Olympics had no gold medals, just olive wreaths and bragging rights. Still better than a participation ribbon. Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel in 1952. He turned it down because, well, he was Einstein, not a politician. During Prohibition, doctors prescribed whiskey as medicine. Got a cough? Here's a bottle. The 1920s were basically a speakeasy pharmacy. When coffins were reused in 18th century Austria, a string was tied to the corpse's finger, connected to a bell above ground. Just in case they woke up. That's where the phrase, "saved by the bell," may have come from. In 1923, jockey Frank Hayes won a horse race while dead. He had a heart attack mid-race but stayed in the saddle. Legend says the horse was just built different.